back into Tadasana as we move into our standing sequence. So the big toe joints are together, the heels are slightly apart. You can step the feet about shoulder distance apart, take your hands to your hips, bend the knees, and we're going to come into a nice soft forward fold. Take the hips back in space, allow the body to soften down onto the legs, and then the hands come either to the floor or onto blocks. And from here, we're just going to have a little bit of a wriggle, so begin to move one knee and then the other, so beginning to straighten one leg and then the other, just a gentle stretch out. And the next time your right leg comes a little straighter, pause here, allow the body to sink down onto your left leg, straighten out the right leg and reach the right hand away. Feeling a nice stretch down the side of the body, down the back of the leg. And then go to the other side, so bring that hand back in, straighten out the left leg, reach the left hand away, and feel a nice side stretch down the side of the body, down the back of the leg. And perhaps just do that once more on either side. Couple of breaths on the right, and a couple of breaths on the left. Good. Soften both knees, take the hands to the hips and lead with the heart as you come all the way up. Back into Tadasana. This time draw your knees and ankles together as we come into Utkatasana, mighty pose or chair pose. Take your hands to your hips once more. Soften the knees, we're keeping the heels down. So if you feel the heels need to lift, just don't bend the knees as much. Keep softening the knees, keep taking the hips back in space. So we're taking a quarter forward fold, which allows us to soften the knees a bit more. The knees are going to come together, and I'd like you to check in as to whether at any time they move in relation to each other. Keep them glued together. Good. Take your hands in front of you in prayer position, shrug the shoulders back and down, float the hands up. Look towards your thumbs, glue the hands together and lift the thumbs a little bit higher. And breathe here. Keep sitting back as if there was a chair there waiting for you. Keep the hands glued together, keep the thumbs lifted. And now bend the elbows, take the hands to prayer position. So we've still got the knees deeply bent. We're going to take the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. So we're taking a twist, and the deeper you can bend the knees, the easier this becomes. I'm just going to turn so you can see. So outside of right elbow onto the outside of the left knee. Push down with the top hand onto the bottom hand and allow that to draw you deeper into the twist. Squeeze the belly in. Rotate the rib cage around, one shoulder stacks above the other. And breathe. On the next in-breath, we're going to come back into Utkatasana. And on the out-breath, go to the other side. So outside of the left elbow, onto the outside of the left knee. Push down with the right hand and draw yourselves deep into that twist. Watch out for your knees. Have they moved in relation to each other? If they have, just bring them back. Next in-breath, coming back into Utkatasana. And as you breathe out, softening into your forward fold. Once more, taking a nice wriggle out if that feels good. Take the hands to the hips. Soften the knees, lifting up with the heart. Good. Come towards the centre of your mats once more. We're going to come into a balance. We're going to come into Warrior 3. So if you are close to a wall, that might help you. You might want to lean forward so that you can gently touch the wall. Or you might want to be the other side so that as we come forward, you can rest the foot on the wall. We're going to start with coming in with the hands in prayer position. So bring your hands to prayer position. Step the right foot back, tuck the toes under. So the back leg's straight but the toes are tucked just to help with your balance. Feel grounded through the left heel, through the left leg. Breathing in, create length in the front of the body, and as you breathe out, the back heel lifts and the body follows. So as the heel lifts, the chest, the shoulders move down. So the torso, it's a little bit like a seesaw. Keep the core drawn in and keep the neck in line with the spine. As you breathe in, coming back up, place the toes down, back into Tadasana. Step back with the left foot, so the toes are just touching down, the legs straight and active. Hands are still in prayer position. Remember to draw the belly in, that will keep your back safe. And then once more, once you're ready and you're feeling balanced, you can lift the back leg up, lowering the chest as you do so, but keeping that belly and the lower ribs drawn in. Back foot can either be flexed at the ankle or you can push away with the ball of the foot. When you're ready to come up, coming out in reverse with just as much control as you went in. So it's fine to repeat that variation. As soon as we begin to lift the arms in Virabhadrasana 3, the posture becomes a little bit more challenging on the core. So you need to remember to squeeze the belly in, keep the lower ribs tucked in, because otherwise what can happen is when you lift the arms, your back begins to bend and that feels then unsafe to hold the weight of your arms. So rather than allowing that to happen, keep the belly drawn in, lift the arms, torso stays strong. Step the right foot back again, so the back tiptoes touching down, and exactly the same thing. So nice and slowly, creating that seesaw movement. Keeping the fingertips extending away. One line of energy from the fingertips out through the back heel. Holding for a few breaths before coming out and returning. It's much better to build up the strength and endurance. So holding for 2 breaths, coming out with control, perhaps next time holding with 3 breaths, rather than trying to hold for a long time and then not managing to come out with control. Coming out with control is just as important as going in. So let's go to the other side. So once again, remember to keep the core drawn in as you lift the arms up. Step back with the left foot and the back toes tucked. Energy already. So even if you go no further, we're extending up through the fingers, pushing out through the back heel. And keep that really strong line of energy with the core strong as you come into your T shape for Virabhadrasana 3. We want to aim to keep that hip down and level if you can. Always being cautious of the standing knee. Coming out whenever you're ready. Okay, so the next, we're going to come towards the floor. We're going to come into downward facing dog. So breathing in, lifting up through the hands, breathing out, bring the hands to the floor, breathing in, lifting and looking up, and breathing out, just stepping back into downward facing dog. Good, take a stretch out here. Back into a neutral dog. Lift the right leg up behind you. So coming into a nice deep stretch through that back leg, and then bringing it forward, bending the knee, squeezing the knee into the chest, creating space under the body, and coming into a deep lunge. So we're placing the right foot in between the hands. Allow the back knee to come down and untuck the toes of the left foot. So the torso is long and laying over the front leg. If your hands don't reach the ground, you can come onto fingertips, or you can place your hands on blocks or on books or to whatever you have to hand. Good. So from here, we're aiming to drop the pelvis low. So ideally we'll have the front knee over the front ankle. And then we're going to work that front knee forwards. So perhaps beginning to feel a stretch in the groin area, or perhaps in the top, at the top of that front thigh. So tuck your back toes back under again and just lift the back knee an inch. See if you can take the back knee back a little. So my leg's beginning to shake, which shows you how strong this can be if you're doing it correctly. So we're taking the back knee back towards the back toes and then just gently lowering it down again. I'm hoping that that's increased the stretch a little bit for you. If it hasn't, just repeat the same exercise. So hover the knee, aim it back towards the back toes and then place it down. You can untuck the toes of the back foot now. We're going to place the weight into the left hand and take the right hand onto that right knee. And from here we're going to twist towards the leg. So we're going to push on the right hand to lift the right shoulder above the left, gaze up towards the ceiling if that's okay for you, otherwise just have it back down on the floor or in front of you. And if all's well, you can open up the front knee by rolling onto the outside, the little toe side of that front foot. And if your knees are okay, it's fine to exert a little bit of pressure on that knee to enable it to drop out to the sides a little bit. Be cautious of the knee and only go as far as your body wants to go. All the time we're sinking down through the pelvis. Just encouraging that hip to open up. Bring the knee back into the centre, so the sole of the foot coming back on the floor. This time we're going to take both hands onto the inside of the foot and begin to bend the elbows. Keep the elbows drawn in towards each other, but bend the elbows so the chest is sinking down inside that bent leg. If you want to, and if your flexibility allows, you can drop onto the forearms here, come into lizard pose. Check in with what's happened to the bent knee, and if it's begun to swing out to the side again, just draw it back into the centre so the knee's above the ankle. Lift the chest forwards and gaze in front of your fingertips. And breathe. Breathe deep into that hip, deep into the top of the front thigh of the left leg. If you come down onto your forearms, lift back onto your hands. Place the right hand back onto the outside of the foot, so one hand either side of the right foot. Tuck the toes of the left foot back under, lift the back heel, push into the hands, and lift that foot, that leg, that right leg, all the way back behind you again into three-legged dog, and place the right foot down on the floor. Lift the left leg behind you, take a nice stretch through the legs, so lifting that foot as high as you can, pushing through both hands. Then bend the left knee, swing it forwards into your chest and place the foot in between your hands. Allow the right knee to come down on the floor and untuck the toes. So first of all, just positioning your low lunge so that the knee is above the ankle, your body's nice and long, and your hands can rest down on the floor or onto blocks. Aim the pelvis to come down. So we want to relax through the pelvis so all the time it's sinking down. The weight of the body draws it down towards the floor. Good. Tuck the back toes under once more. Hover the knee just an inch from the floor. And then take the knee back without anything in front moving. So keeping everything that's in your eyesight stable, and we're just aiming that back knee back an inch, hovering it from the floor, shaking is great, and then placing it down. So increasing the stretch in the legs a little bit, untuck the back toes. Good. Lift the left hand onto the left knee, push into that hand to move you into a delicious twist in lizard pose. So as you lift, the shoulder stacks above the wrist, one shoulder stacks above the other, and you can use the hand to draw you deeper into the twist. From here, if your hips and your knees are feeling okay, you can allow this knee to come out to the side. So I'm rolling onto the outside edge of my front foot and encouraging my knee away with my hand. This is purely optional. If this at all hurts the knee, then don't do it. But if you can, we're aiming to externally rotate the thigh. And then bringing that knee back into the centre. So knee aligned over the ankle, both hands on the inside of the foot. If you can, begin to drop your chest inside the leg by bending the elbows. If you can, then you come onto your forearms, but if not, just stay up onto your hands and work with dropping your chest forwards. If you have come onto your forearms, then we want to lift the chest forwards. Gaze in front of your fingers. And breathe. Remember to keep the knee over the ankle, avoid the temptation to let it sink out to the side again. If you're on your forearms, then lift up back onto your hands. Place the left hand back onto the other side of the foot, tuck the back toes under. Lift the back knee, push through the hands, lifting that left foot all the way back and up behind you in three-legged dog, and then place the foot back down. And just walk the dog for a few breaths, stretching out in those hip joints. Take a little side stretch if that feels nice. Once more, lifting the the right foot up behind you, three-legged dog. Swing the knee into the chest. Place the right foot in between your hands. We're going to keep the back toes tucked under but lower the knee. Good. Place the hands on the hips and begin to lift the chest. I'm not too worried about how far up you come, so checking with your lower back. If your back feels good, then that means you can lift up a little higher. Any pinching at all, we just come forward, keep the hips level and lengthen the body here. Wherever you are, keep lifting up with the upper chest. It's a feeling as though your hips are sinking down and your torso, your chest is lifting up. Your shoulders lift up with your chest, and then we actively squeeze them together behind the backs and slide them down the spine. Good. Keep breathing in and lifting up, keep breathing out, rolling the shoulders back and down. Breathe in, stretch the hands overhead. Look up if that's okay in the neck, otherwise looking straight forward. Every time you breathe in, we lift up, and every time you breathe out, releasing back into your back arch. Breathing in, come back with the arms facing up, breathing out. Take the hands either side of your foot. Lift up with the back knee, back into three-legged dog. So taking that right leg back and up, placing the right foot on the floor. Taking the left foot back and up into three-legged dog, pushing through both hands, swing the knee into the chest, come up onto the toes of the back foot, place the left foot down in between the hands. Take the back knee down, but keep the toes tucked. Remember to that position, so we want the front knee moving forward over the ankle, either placing the hands on the knee or placing the hands on the hips. Breathing in, creating that length in the front of the body, squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other and down the spine. So once again, be cautious of your lumbar spine. Any discomfort here, then take the back bend out by moving back towards your bent knee. The way to avoid that compression in the spine is with length. So we want to lengthen out the spine. So wherever you are, thinking about lengthening with each in-breath, rolling the shoulders back and down with the out-breath. It's fine to keep the hands on the hips. If you're feeling okay, then we can float the hands up, gaze towards the thumbs, breathing in, stretching up, and breathing out, softening into your back arch. All the time lifting through the collarbones, through the heart, to keep that length in your upper back. When you breathe in, lift back up, take the hands back to the hips, forward fold over the bent knee, place both hands on the floor, push through the hands, lift up with the back knee, and take that left leg all the way back into space behind you, downward facing dog. And then place the foot back on the floor and ease out with a little bit of walking the dog. Lifting up onto the toes, dropping the knees to the floor, untucking the toes and coming into your kneeling position. We're going to come into gate pose, Parighasana. So you might want to take some padding under the knees if your knees are a little sensitive. You may also want to have a block or a book handy. You may not need the block, but have it handy just in case. If you want padding under your knees, then grab some padding. You can roll your mat up if that feels okay. And then we're going to come into an upright kneeling position. And then from here, we're going to take the right foot out to the side and place the foot directly under the knee. So we want to create this box shape with the legs. As we come into Parighasana, beware of the hips swinging around as you move the torso. We want to keep this box shape in place. I'll just demonstrate how it can go wrong. When we're going to come into our side stretch, what can happen is if the body doesn't really want to side stretch, or you have issues with the length of your inner thigh, then this can happen. And you can see that the angle of my hip and my knee has gone out of alignment. So you want to keep this box shape and allow the stretch to come from the torso only. So we're keeping the hips solid here. Good. So just bear that in mind. You'll probably be able to feel it in your knee as well, because you'll be rocking around on your knee joint unless you keep them stable. So with the right leg out behind us, place the back of the right hand on the inside of the knee. The left hand comes out to the side, and as you breathe in, stretch up with the left hand. You can follow the hands with your gaze. If that doesn't work for the neck, just keep the neck neutral and facing forward is absolutely fine. Breathe in, stretch up, establishing this beautiful length from your knee to your hip, and from your hip to your shoulder, all the way up to your fingertips. And if you go no further, this is a fantastic place to stop. If you're happy, then breathe in again, and breathing out, perhaps take a deeper side stretch. And as you do that, the opposite hand slides down towards the ankle. Breathe into this space that you've created in the side of the body. Turn the palm face up, breathing in, stretch up, and breathing out, take that left hand down. And bring the right knee in and take the left foot out to the side. So similar box shape on the other side. Outside of the right hand, palm face out, back of the left hand onto the inner knee. Breathing in, stretch up, create that space through the side of the right body. One more in-breath here, and then breathe out, perhaps taking a deeper side stretch over, keeping those hips nice and square, remember. We're aiming to have one shoulder stacked above the other. If you've dropped into a forward fold, then perhaps just lift out of the side stretch a little bit. Keep the chest open and breathe into the side of the body. Turn the palm face up, breathing in, stretch up, and breathing out. Release the arm down to the side. So it's fine to repeat that posture. If you want to come to the next stage, this is where you may need your block. We're going to step the right leg out, but keep the legs straight this time. Exactly the same position with the left knee and the left hip. If you're using a block, you may want to place the toes onto the block. If your feet naturally come to the floor and your knee stays upright, which is the important thing, then that's fine. If I get rid of the block and I try to force my knee down, A, it pulls my hip over, and B, the only way I can get it flat is to tilt the toes forward a little bit, and that then compromises my knee by making my knee face forward, and I want it to be up. Okay, so books, blocks, whatever you need, place to keep your knee upright. Back of the right hand on the inner thigh, left hand, palm facing out, breathing in, stretch up. And if you're happy, stay here. If you want to go deeper, as you breathe out, track the right hand down the leg towards the foot, keeping the chest open. Beautiful stretch down the side of the body. As long as you're not pressing on the kneecap, you can take a little bit of weight through the leg here. It's quite strong to hold the body in this position otherwise. Once you're here, breathe. Check in with your posture, opening up the shoulders. Try actively straightening the arm. Try softening the arm, see what difference it makes. Turn the palm face up. Breathing in, stretch up. And breathing out, coming back down. And of course, repeating that on the other side. So if you're using your block, take it to the other side of the mat. Straighten out your left leg. Hip above the knee of the right leg. Back of the left hand on the inner thigh. Palm of the right hand facing out. Breathing in, stretching up. And breathing out, keeping the length. So aiming the fingertips up towards the ceiling, rather than thinking over and out to the side. Keep one shoulder stacked above the other. Keep tracking that other leg, that other hand, down towards the ankle. It's fine to take a little bit of weight through this straight leg as long as you're not pressing on the kneecap. Actively pushing, extending those fingertips away. Turn the palm face up, stretching up to the sky. And as you breathe out, take that hand down. Good. Come back into kneeling. Sit back on your heels as we prepare for our inversion. So we're doing plough pose tonight, Halasana. So we're going to take a little bit of time warming up for that. And we'll start off with some neck stretches. So you want to be in a comfortable seated position. I'm kneeling, but feel free to sit cross-legged if that's better for you, or sit up on a block or some cushions. Important to have a gentle lift in the upper chest and keep the shoulders comfortably rolling back and down. The hands are just resting on your knees or your thighs. And next time you breathe out, we're going to drop the chin down to the chest, feeling perhaps a little bit of stretch down the back and sides of your neck. The shoulders might want to come up. Keep them shrugging down, because that's where you'll get the best stretch. The upper chest is still lifting up as if it's going to meet the chin. And then breathing in and lifting the chin. As we breathe out, keeping the chest and shoulders where they are, just begin to lift the chin up towards the sky. So be cautious because the head is quite heavy, so only take the head back as far as you know that you can lift it up with strength without collapsing through the upper chest. So we're aiming for a stretch now down the side, down the front of the throat. And lifting the head back up. It's fine to use the fingertips behind your head if you need to lift the head up using the hands. Now we're going to take the right ear to the right shoulder. So keeping the right shoulder down and relaxed, just stretching out the side of the neck. And as you breathe in, lift up. And as you breathe out, go to the other side. So left ear to left shoulder. Noticing any natural tendency to tilt the chin up or to drop the chin down. And just coming into that neutral position. So if you need to check in again, just come back up and gently lower the left ear to the left shoulder. Again, the right shoulder staying down and relaxed. Left shoulder staying down and relaxed as well. Nice stretch the side of the neck here. Breathing in, lift the head back up. And now we're going to turn the face, so we're going to take the chin over the right shoulder. Check in what happens to the torso here and avoid the temptation to twist in the torso. Shoulders, upper back staying neutral, aiming for the stretch in the neck only. Breathing in, facing forwards, and breathing out, take the chin over the left shoulder. And breathing in, facing forward. So one more variation of the neck stretch that I'd like us to try as we begin to introduce Jalandhara Bandha, which is an energy lock. So in Jalandhara Bandha, we actively lift the chest up now. So this is more than just our neutral, comfortable lift. It's an active lift in the chest, and we drop the chin down and we lock here. So you can place the hands on the knees, push through the hands, so you're rounding your back, lift the chest, drop the chin, and you can hear my voice change as I do it. And release. So practice that a couple of times. So hands down on the knees or the thighs, rounding the shoulders, so push through the hands, lift the chest and drop the chin down. You may feel that there's a restriction in the breath, and that's quite normal. So while you're here practicing in this way, just observe how you breathe. Perhaps making that ujjayi breathing sound, a kind of soft snoring sound through your throat. Good. Relax the shoulders again. And we're going to drop the chin down towards the throat once more. I say drop. Take the chin gently down towards the chest, just as we did before. So torso's relaxed, we're dropping the head down, and this time we're going to take the fingertips onto the back of the head and very gently begin to exert some pressure through the fingertips downwards. So pushing down gently with the fingertips, and then resist that downward force with your head. So your head's pushing up and your fingertips are pushing down. And the effect is that you don't go anywhere, but it may feel quite strong. And then release the pressure, upwards pressure through the head, and see if your head doesn't draw a little bit deeper into the fold. Release the fingertips and lifting the head back up and giving your shoulders a bit of a shake out. Good. So with Halasana, you may want to have a cushion handy, so feel free to pause the video and have a cushion handy. We're going to work on some shoulder stretches first of all, but have your cushion ready to hand. So lift your shoulders up, bring your hands in front of you, Turn the palms out by taking the thumbs down and the little fingers up. So the palms are facing out, and then we're going to do a breaststroke type movement, swimming the arms behind and interlacing the fingers behind the back. If you need a belt, so if your fingers don't come together, just use a belt or a tie and hold that tie in place. The idea is I'd like you to have a feeling that you can lift your upper chest, drop your chin down towards your chest and lift actively through your hands. So we're pushing the arms straight, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then with the arms straight and the shoulder blades squeezing, lifting the little fingers up to the sky. The chin is resting down. And hold at your maximum. And keep the arms long and straight. Keep the shoulder blades squeezing together behind your back. And perhaps lift an extra inch. And releasing the hands down, giving the shoulders a shake out. And then coming onto your backs. So there's no need for the cushion just yet, but we'll use the cushion in a minute. Lie on your backs with your knees bent and notice the lumbar curve in your spine. And the first thing we're going to do is get rid of that lumbar curve. So that natural curve in your back, we're going to push down to the floor by engaging the abdominals, and notice how all of your back can come to the floor. Take the hands down by your sides, palms facing down. Lift your feet, bend the knees and bring your knees in towards your chest. So we can come to a place where this is relatively comfortable. So the back's still pushing into the mat and our knees are lifted. So now I'd like you to push through your hands a little bit more and see if you can lift your hips a little bit higher, draw your knees deeper into your chest. And hold. If you want to, you can lift your forehead into your knees. And then lower your head and very slowly lower your hips back down, but keeping the lower back pushing in to the floor. Perhaps touch your toes down and then lift them again. Lower back pushing into the mat, knees coming into the chest. Allow your hands to lift you a little bit higher. So your tailbone lifts, perhaps your lower back lifts off the floor too. And if you want to, you can tuck the chin and the forehead can come in towards the knees. Release the head down, slowly lowering the back down onto the mat, but keeping that lumbar arch out. So keep pushing down with the abdominals. And once more, lifting up, keeping the lower back pushing in. Remember, push the hands a little to lift the back, lift the hips, lift the tailbones. Head can come in towards the knees. Release the head and very slowly release the hips down onto the floor. Good. And relax that work. So if you are using a cushion, now's the time to use your cushion. I haven't got my nice wide one today, but if you've got a nice wide cushion that's the width of your mat, that's the best type to use really. And we want to have the cushion near a wall. So if you mat so that the short edge of the mat is against a wall, and I've got my cushion slightly closer to the wall than halfway up my mat, but we can reposition it. And then when you're ready, if you're using a cushion, then you want to have your shoulders on the cushion, tops of your shoulders on the cushion, but your head on the floor. Okay, so the head isn't sitting on the cushion, the head's on the floor. It's just the shoulders and the upper back that are on the cushion. If you're not using a cushion, just ignore all of that and come and lay on your back anyway. Have your hands down by your hips once more. And just as we did with our core work just a moment ago, we're going to use the hands to help us roll up, using lots of strength, but this time take the feet overhead, perhaps straighten out, and find the wall behind you with your feet. Okay, if you can't find the wall, if you've gone a little bit too far, roll back down, move yourself a little bit closer into the wall and find the wall with your feet. Okay, and all we're going to do is practice being here in this position. So walking the feet up, walking the feet down, just becoming familiar with being here. And if that feels okay, bend the knees and nice and slow and lower, controlled roll back down onto the mat. Okay, each time we roll up and roll down like that, it's great abdominal exercise. So you'll have a six-pack before you know it if you keep going. Good. So practicing with plough pose, please continue to do that if that feels good and that's where you want to be today. If you want to come a bit further, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So position the hands with the palms facing down by your hips, rolling the knees up, rolling the tailbone up and over, but this time take your feet all the way down to the floor behind you. So the knees can be bent at this stage. We're going to walk the elbows in towards each other, bend the elbows and hold the hips or the lower rib cage. Use the hands on the back to lift the hips nice and high. You want to squeeze the elbows in together and then tuck the toes under, straighten the legs, lifting the tailbone to the sky. As you lift the tailbone to the sky, the feet are pushing and the legs are straight. When you're ready to come out, soften the knees, release the hands, and a nice slow lower back down to the floor. Okay, so we're just going to do that one more time. So important positioning. I'm actually going to get rid of this cushion because the width of the cushion doesn't do me any favours. So you need a wide cushion for that to work. So important things to note is that you want your elbows to squeeze in. If your elbows come out to the sides, that won't help you with the support at all, or marginally. So keep your elbows squeezing in towards your body behind your back. And once again, rolling up. So nice and controlled. See how high you can come without any momentum. Push through the hands. Take the feet down to the floor or to the wall. Bend the elbows. Lift yourselves up as high as you can onto the tops of your shoulders by squeezing your elbows in and lifting up with using your hands to help lift your spine and to lift your tailbone. Tuck the toes under and lift the tailbone to the sky. So we're in active plough. So the hands can start to move up the back a little higher, onto the back ribs. Walk the toes in a little bit closer to your head. Activate those legs, open up through the backs of the knees and come into a strong plough position. When you're ready to come down, bend the knees, release the hands, back onto the floor, and very slowly coming back down one vertebra at a time. Holding on, cross the ankles or cross the calves wherever you can and hold on to one foot, like handlebars of a motorbike. Bring your feet down and tuck your feet under your body. So we're coming into a supine cross-legged position. I'm holding my feet. If you can't hold your feet, don't worry at all, just have your hands down by your sides. Tuck your elbows in and then push your elbows into the floor and lift your chest up. Notice that my hips staying down. I'm lifting my chest and perhaps coming up onto my head. That's not really important. The important thing is that you're lifting your chest pushing your elbows into the floor and releasing down. Lifting up with your feet once more, so the lower legs are crossed, you're holding onto your feet, roll them back towards your head, and then use a little bit of momentum to sit up. Great. So just our last closing posture before we come into our relaxation. We're going to come into Gomukhasana as a forward fold. So Gomukhasana requires a little bit of hip flexibility and some shoulder flexibility. We haven't worked that deeply in either today, so please modify, and I'll show you the modifications that we can use. So coming into Dandasana, lift the right knee and cross the right foot over the left knee. And then allow the knee to come down. So we're making a figure 4 with our legs. So this is the first modification. If this feels okay, that's great, you can stay here. If you think you can go further, then slide the right heel up towards the outside of the right hip. So the right knee stacks over the left knee. Okay, might take a little bit of wriggling. Okay, so this is the next modification. So we've got figure 4, or we've got this more closed posture. So you can stay here. If you want to, you can rock onto your left hip. So we're rocking over onto the straight leg. Bend the left knee and bring that left heel in towards, on the outside of the right hip. And then take a little wriggle. So we want both sitting bones down on the floor. So take a moment to find that place. If you've tried this and you end up with this hip really high lifted, then straighten that other leg out again. Okay? And just settle here for a moment. So wherever you are, whether it's in the figure 4 position, whether it's with the left leg straight, or whether you've come into this full Gomukhasana position with the legs, just place your hands either on the soles of the feet or onto the floor beside your hips. Breathe deeply into your hips. And if you have enough space in your hips, then you can begin to take a forward fold. Walk the hands forwards with you, so you're supporting the weight of your body as you come forwards. Have a wriggle. It's quite nice to have a wriggle here to make sure the hips stay down. We want the hips to stay on the floor. And we're just slowly coming into a deep forward fold over the hips. Allow the head to rest down. So it doesn't matter wherever you come to here. If you've got the flexibility in the hips and you can come all the way down, laying down on your hips, take the arms out to the side and feel the weight of the shoulders drawing you down. If you're not quite there yet and you've got the left leg straightened out, or you're in a figure 4 and this is all you want to do, then simply allow the back to round and allow the head to come down. Just softening. Softening in the neck, softening in the back. And wherever you are, breathing in and slowly coming up. If you've got the left leg straightened out, then coming back into Dandasana with your right leg extended as well. If you are in the full Gomukhasana position with your hips, then we can do a bit of a fun exchange. So place your hands in front of you, either side of your knees. Push into your hands and lift your knees off. So the feet stay down, but the knees are lifted, and you come into a kind of Bambi pose. And we're going to rotate round. So walk the hands around to your left, all the way around behind you. Swivel on your toes as you come round. Keep swiveling on your toes all the way around. We're coming all the way around past the past the left leg. Bend the knees again and settle the hips back down in between. So, and that brings you into your Gomukhasana on the other side. For those of you with your legs straight, we're simply going to repeat that on the other side. So the left knee now is going to come either into a figure 4, And we're going to pause here. Or you can draw the left heel towards the outside of the right hip and come into this slightly closed position with the hips. Once again, if that feels okay, and know that it will be different on either side, you can rock onto the right hip a little bit and bring both hips down on the floor once more. Okay, have a wriggle, make sure you're comfortable. And wherever you are, just breathe. Hands either on the soles of the feet or on the floor by your hips beside you. Allow your head to hang down. And if you can access a forward fold, then walk the hands forwards, coming into your forward fold. Having a wriggle, keep your hips down on the floor. The hands can be out to the side if you come down deeply. And once again, even if you're in the upright position, so you're not, if you've got the right leg straightened out, all you need to do is round the back, allow the head to soften down. And breathing in, wherever you are, coming up and undoing the legs. Straightening the legs out in front of you, coming into Dandasana. Draw the hands together in prayer position. And then you might want to pause the video and grab a blanket or some cushions and then come back for your relaxation practice.